Hi, it's Evelyn. Welcome to the first video of 2024, which is all about vision boarding. And I know a lot of people get this kind of video out earlier, but procrastination happens, and here we are. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty inspired by TikTok. I have always seen vision boards here and there growing up, but I never really thought much of them until, here's the catch, until I heard something that changed that, which I will get into later on. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. So what is a vision board, first of all? A vision board is an area where you have a bunch of pictures or words or symbols, just things that remind you of goals you want to achieve, or if there's any specific areas you want to focus on. Really, it's like your aspirations, what you envision yourself to be, to do, to have, etc. I don't think there's necessarily a right way to do a vision board. Mine personally is very collage-like. There's so many layers. I did not have any white space on mine, which normally, I visually like things more straightforward, a little bit more clean, but the purpose I had for this vision board was to be more abstract and more of an art than it was something more practical. And I also think that this would be a great addition to my apartment wall since my walls are pretty bare right now. But this was a fun, unique way to put my mind on paper in addition to what I already do with journaling and letter writing, which I can talk about in later videos. And I really enjoy making collages. I just think even if I am not looking for a certain aesthetic, just like the motions of putting collages together has always been really fun and just like a decompression, relaxing activity for me. But that wasn't until recently, and that also wasn't why I chose to do a vision board. So what made me do a vision board all of a sudden? Okay, so going back to TikTok, my feed has a lot of artsy journaling things, and when I was watching some vision board ones, one person stood out to me in the way that she approached it, and she said that vision boards were a way for her to look back on herself and to see what changed. And that's the thing that really got me, because I've always kind of had an association with vision boards being a little bit restrictive in a sense that I thought it was almost like a checklist of okay, I want to have this. Did I do it? Great. And her approach had more movement in a sense that she realized what changed. And instead of kind of making it like a this or that kind of situation, I felt like with her, it was a lot deeper and a lot more meaningful to me, just seeing what did my priorities end up being, what did my perspectives look like compared to back then. And I really liked that. I felt like it could be used as kind of having checkpoints in life and just being able to look back and reflect and just see how far you've come, but also see not only your growth and progress, but also the shifts that happen in the journey and the process and the changes and everything, and just the development of all of it. I also just think it's a really good way to tie in the past, the present, and the future self together, which I know is a whole thing. Everyone has different perspectives and values on how they see each of those three things and how that affects their lifestyle and thought process. Okay, so that was the rundown on vision boarding and my take on it, and now I'm going to talk about more of what visual pieces I chose for this poster board and what they mean to me, why I chose them, and it's what I'm going to have future me reflect on. My first theme focuses on learning and consuming. I chose a textbook definition of consumption and a slip of paper that says for a purpose. And for me, that reminds me to have intentional consumption. I feel like there's so much social media out there that is super beneficial. It can educate you and have a positive influence, and I just want to remind myself there are more ways to use social media or my downtime that will shape me into who I want to be and what I want to do in my life or what I want in my life, which will go for everything, so I won't try to say that repetitively. But anyways, along with this theme, I also chose an image of a bookshelf, and that just reminds me of the library. I pretty much live at the library half the time. I developed a really good study pattern throughout last year, and it was kind of just a connection back to the past, and I want to remember that and keep that and grow that. Another theme I had was growth mindset and just this openness and newness. I struggled a lot with perfectionism, and that really all hit towards the end of 2023. I picked a textbook dictionary definition of that to remind myself of where I was coming from and what I want to work on. I think I was very limited. I put myself in a box. I was just mentally strained, and it was a whole thing. And after establishing that context, I picked an image that says greatest adventure, and to me that openness and excitement, I need to step out. In relation to how I changed my majors, and this semester is my first semester as a marketing major. And while I'm scared, I also am excited and want to remember and set my mindset on the possibilities out there, which leads me to my next visual, which says fresh perspectives. So I don't limit myself and feel stuck in one way. Adding on to this newness, I picked an image of an orange, which symbolizes refreshing, and how oranges are acidic, which can take people by surprise, but knowing that strength is okay, and whether people like it or not. Like, I struggled a lot with people pleasing indirectly, and so that also ties into that. The image of the magic cards and hat is a representation to use whatever cards life gives you to play your hand and to take the chance. Another theme is acceptance, boundaries, and boldness. And so I picked the word confident, and it just reminds me that I don't need external validation, that I am enough and I can be confident, which is something I really struggled with in 2023. I also picked a little poem or text that goes about allowing yourself to be, and I also have a sticker that says go grow, which is kind of like an encouragement and this energy that I want to bring to myself along with others. The text climbers and ramblers. Climbers is to reference one step at a time. I feel like that mindset has helped me immensely. And for ramblers, I identify with that and I let that get to me, but I want to learn to be okay with that and work with it instead of against. Because rambling in itself isn't a bad thing at all. It's just the way that I use it to justify self-limiting. For the second part, which is boundaries, I picked the words good for you, and that reminds me to exercise, to eat healthy, to stand up for myself, and do the things that are good for me. That along with the visual that says you have what you need to stay afloat, it just reminds me that I'm in charge of setting those boundaries, that I can do it, and that I don't need to rely on external validation. For the last part of this theme, which is boldness, I have 3 visuals. The visual go frameless means to not limit myself, but to directly take pictures, since I do want to memory keep and digitalize things, and it references just this confidence and free spirit when I think of frameless. I also chose the visual word bold. It just means don't water down yourself, take that leap of faith, live it up. And my last visual says, do I disturb the universe, which has the same ideas behind bold. The theme of organization has 2 visuals, the first being a picture of a dining table, which symbolizes just clean, orderly spaces, and I hope my apartment is a place where I can host more events this year. I also just like the morning bright lighting, which is refreshing. And the second visual is an image of an office space, which just reminds me of work, how I want it to be tidy and focused. I want to create space physically, mentally, and also in my schedule when it comes to this. The theme of relationships and spirituality, I have the word connect, which just means connect with people. There's a sticker of Jesus with boba, which I found pretty cute, and that just symbolizes my faith and how I want a stronger emphasis on community. For the theme career and hobbies, there's the dictionary definition of broadcast, which I was debating on working at the broadcasting team for my college, and I also do broadcast for a church, so that was going to that in my life. And there's like a calligraphy visual scrap, and that just represents journaling. There's a couple more themes that I won't get into for the sake of time, but it just has to do with health or relaxing and some other goals that I have. I'm excited to see what 2024 has to bring for all of us, and I'm also excited to use this. I don't know if time capsule is the right word, but I'm excited to reflect on this a year from now and see what 2025 me thinks. Hopefully 2025 me can also do a vision board, and I will hope to do that a little better in a sense that I know the visuals and the audio may have not really coordinated the best on this video. But thank you so much for watching.